And it crashed. Whoa, it did not crash, Tony.
No, it did not.
How about
Do you know
that?
why it didn't crash, Kevin?
Why did it not crash, Tony?
Because it was on a flotilla.
Oh my God, there's your favorite word. Your favorite word this week.
They got
Flotilla.
kidnapped. Apparently, they are kidnapped right now. So,
Poor Greta.
what is I know what a flotilla is, but every time I hear it, I'm literally like, "What the fuck is a flotilla?"
You can't
Well,
take it seriously when they call it a flotilla. There's no
You
way.
can.
They're like, oh, by the way, they're coming in a. First of all, this is not the building blocks. Of peace in the Middle East. Never is the headline going to say, and Greta Thunberg came down with her 12 people in a flotilla. There's no respect for you after that. There's only pirates saying, I don't know what the hell a flotilla is, but it sounds easy to steal.
Well, yeah, they're trying right now. I don't know. Like, just let them float. What is the flotilla gonna do? Just let them float on. They got some baby food in there. Just let them go.
A flotilla just sounds like something that Rick from Pawn Stars just undercut somebody on or like lowball somebody on. I'm trying to look up the definition of
I'll
a
give you
flotilla right now.
$14.99.
Well, doesn't it it has sails, but I think it has a small engine and only solar power maybe or something.
A small electric engine.
Okay, there you go.
One rudder.
One.
2 ergonomic paddles.
Okay.
Can you imagine paddling out there like in the ocean? Like
God.
In the ocean.
I'm just saying it would be very ironic or whatever if a whale just ate the fucking ship and be like, Greta, as much as you wanted to save the planet just had different ideas for yourself right there.
I feel like somebody could have gave them a bigger boat.
They're going to need a bigger boat.
Somebody.
Now, let me get a little business out of the way. We are the Podguyz Podcast, bringing it to you live as we do every Monday night. I'm Tony Cass.
Kevin Neary here.
Of course, we have the ever-loving Pocaster, the drawer of the waves and dips. Waves and dips. He is the creator of the crashing waves. Le Sparky.
Okay. All right. Sparky says hi there on the big board for our new viewers out there. Old viewers already know that Sparky. My God.
Draw a flotilla.
Of all time, Sparky. God damn it.
Guys, we are joined today by another great guest, of course, from her amazing podcast called
Politics But Make It Fashion.
That's right, Politics But Make It Fashion. Look it up on all the things that you look up on your apps for podcasting, of course. You can find it everywhere. Amber Viola, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Absolutely. I didn't have anything else to do at 10 o'clock at night. So
you wouldn't believe how many times.
Thing, right? That's the thing, right, Kevin?
Yeah.
You have nothing to do. You ain't got shit to do on a Monday.
No.
So where are you going to go at 10 o'clock at night? You go to your favorite podcast right here, the Podguyz Podcast, and share from here.
Now, if we're going ball for ball, viewer for viewer on this one, we have had more overall views than the famous show Late Night with Carson Daly. No one the fuck watched that. People were paid to go there.
No. Dude, I loved Carson Daly from when he was on TRL. I went to school in Jersey. I used to go up to New York. I've been on TRL a couple times. But I did watch that last call with Carson Daly. I don't think anybody else watched it. It was just me and Carson.
It was between him and seeing how many knives I could buy for like $100. That were you'd have the knife guy QVC. Yeah, where the guy's like
Carson Daly.
We're gonna throw in the katana sword, 17,000 knives. It's 4 a.m. You might as well buy these knives. And a large phone with large numbers.
If you act now, you get a juicer.
Yeah, it's a Jack
payments of $19.99.
Those Jack LaLanne juicer commercials. I remember when Jack LaLanne passed away, I'm thinking to myself, is his wife going to just juice him? You know, just because of all the nutrients he already had in him.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, that would be a waste if you just don't, you know, like.
Can turn him into a tree, you know.
Yeah, and then juice the
I
fucking
think she
fruit
may
that
have turned him.
whatever comes
She
out
may
of
have
there.
officially turned him into A1 sauce.
Yeah, or maybe just more the loss of her husband. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
you know,
it's-
whatever. Yeah.
It's totally up there. Now Carson Daly is on the Today Show.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you know, whoever his agent is, hey, bravo, good job for you, man.
He stayed working. He's been employed this whole time. So
He really has.
It's tough to get to that level where you're still more likable than Ryan Seacrest.
Right.
And you know, Ryan Seacrest, I'll give you some credit, Ryan. You chose Wheel of Fortune over Kelly Ripa. The only person working with Kelly Ripa, by the way, is like her husband. Where they're like, all right, who can stand being in the room with this woman for longer? You know, longer than 5 minutes. And her husband's like, wait, I thought I was just subbing in. They're like, oh no, you're the guy now.
Yeah, you're on the show.
You gotta be here.
Amber, are you betrothed or are you dating somebody or?
No, I am single. I live in Scranton, so I mean.
Oh my God.
Sparking.
Listen, you know what they have in Scranton? They do have what is that dating thing right over there? Is it it's called Narcotics Anonymous right there.
Oh, yeah,
you sit in a circle and everybody dates. It's what is that? Speed dating right there.
And they teach you how to write letters to your exes in Lackawanna.
Everybody gets the same STD. You go, you throw it in the bowl. Yeah. It's it's a
business card and a pair of panties into the bowl.
Oh God. What kind of COVID are we brewing up there, Tony? You know, just turning it with the fucking wooden spoon sort of thing.
It's a soup.
Yeah. So, Amber, how long have you been living in Scranton?
So I'm from Gouldsboro. But once I left and went to the Navy, when I came back, I've been out the Navy for like 6 years now, and I've been here since then.
Nice. Thank you for your service, by the way. Yep. Yeah. Look at that, Tony. We're on.
I know, Jake.
Veteran. I said veteran right off the rip there. Tony, there is no jinx. You're a fucking idiot. There is no jinx. No jinxing. Listen, I'm always about the veterans kicking ass for the country, doing their thing. You know, they're the unsung heroes. People are constantly knocking on them saying, oh, well, especially during the whole Iraq thing. It's like, dude, they weren't in charge of the orders all around. They were following orders, and you have to, you know, at the time we didn't know. The adult in the room, the supposed adult in the room was Colin Powell. Okay. Everyone else, you're like, okay, Colin, what's going on?
What's going
here?
on? Yeah.
You know, that's the only guy you can go to. And he was like, oh yeah, well, we have, I'll show you the cartoons they drew for me. All right. And after like a year, everybody's like, oh fuck, he's been compromised.
Yeah.
He has been compromised. Just like Kash Patel right now with this new administration talking about how, oh yeah, we totally looked over the old documents.
We did everything.
Oh, look at this. It turned out Epstein did kill himself with a rope. Fuck you, man.
Right,
bullshit.
Right.
Everyone's
he started off
bullshit.
so strong. I didn't really like him, but he started off very like, okay, you I may not agree, but you're kind of doing your own thing and kind of an independent thinker. I'm here for it. And then
dude talked a really good game.
Yeah. Well, he was coming out, and I do like it when somebody is wanting to go back into something that everyone was convinced was total bullshit. The guards were not charged with assisted suicide. Mm-hmm. So if they were not charged with assisted suicide, then there was no suicide. Then there was no neglect.
I just found it crazy that guards even were, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you know, you got this rich white man, and now you got random black people going to jail for him dying. And it's like, okay, you know.
The thing is, on suicide watch, you have nothing. However, he got a blanket to hang himself with, or several blankets to hang himself with, and you know, obviously, you're put on suicide watch.
You're supposed to be seen every 20 minutes or so, or something like that.
Yeah,
well, they have
supposed to be done.
Footage, missing footage from the cells. in the cell area for approximately 22 minutes.
I think Kash Patel is more loyal to Donald Trump than he actually is the any investigation. And it kind of showed with the Joe Rogan podcast when Rogan put out there, he says he was talking about the feud between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And Kash Patel says, oh, that's way above my pay grade. No, I'm not touching that. I know my lane. The fuck you mean you know your lane?
Yeah.
Dude, they're in a Twitter battle. Who cares?
Like who cares? Like obviously the bar is on the ground. Like they're literally battling each other on Trump is having a meltdown over this, and you're like, oh, I can't say anything. Of course you can't.
You could totally say something. This is what
Elon was high as shit in the Oval Office. Say whatever you want to say.
Somebody had to do the leftover drugs that Hunter Biden had there. You know, he's just picked up. He's like, oh,
carpet crack.
You know, for a guy who's so smart, he seriously is having always trouble forming a sentence, sort of thing. So with the Department of Government Efficiency. Money saving for the government. I don't know the exact tally, but you know, fraud, waste, and abuse does happen in any fact. I've seen fraud, waste, and abuse at a fucking McDonald's. Right. I was that fraud, waste, and abuse. Right. I was asking people for free stuff, and they were like, "Yeah, here you are."
There was plenty of fraud, waste, and abuse in the military, in the Navy. You know, you see it. There's definitely waste of money, but I mean, I could list off so much stuff in the military that's a waste of money that we're not cutting. They're not even looking at. Like, what are they doing? What are they looking at? Are these things that they're cutting? It's like you're cutting the stupidest things. There's planes that we spent $7 billion per plane and they've never flown. They're just sitting somewhere because they don't work.
Correct. Yeah.
You know?
How about the funny ones that recently just fell off the side of a ship? About a month ago.
Yeah, when they lost three on I think they lost three Hornets, F-8 Hornets.
Three Hornets.
Yep.
How do you lose something like that?
One fell off.
Okay.
One didn't hit the ramp.
And one was friendly fire or something. Got hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels like somebody got drunk. It feels like somebody got drunk. And
a lot of people should have been fired. So I was on an aircraft carrier. I was very confused as to how they had a lot happen in a really short amount of time. They need to come home. They've been out there, I think, for like 11 months now.
They should make a Few Good Men, or what was that? Oh God, that you can't handle the truth bullshit.
I think A Few Good Men, wasn't it?
A Few Good Men. Yeah, where they where it's just some stupid bullshit where a plane just falls in there. Like, what happened to the Hornet? You can't handle the truth. We were doing keg stands for 48 hours, Lieutenant. You wouldn't know shit about that. You and your snot-nosed, wine-drinking ass. You know, that would just feels like a thing. But getting back to the money saved. So, dude's doing some work for the government. And he's like, hey, look at all the money I saved, right? Whether it's $1 or $1 billion, still went out there, tried to find fraud, waste, and abuse. And then I guess Donald Trump said, cool, thank you. This is all going to the military, industrial complex or whatever, military defense budget, whatever, just pushing it right over there. So instead of one person believes that inflation comes from too much government spending, too much money out there.
Right.
Another person also believes in the theory that our money is backed up with bombs and has been for quite some time. Now, the idea is you can give as much money to the military as possible, and it won't affect inflation. In fact, it will affect it in the opposite way no matter what, because our money is backed up with the inherent idea that America will never run out of bananas because we can come in and take those fucking bananas whenever we want. That's the arguments I get into on Facebook about when somebody says, we're going to run out of bananas because the imports and exports, and fuck you, man, we will take the bananas if we want the fucking bananas. We'll take the goddamn things. We will go in there, we will take all the bananas, and we'll give them to our people. And there's your import export example on. But these examples on tariffs are the worst I've ever seen in my life. There are 3 people out there that have had very stubborn and staunch opinions on tariffs. 3 of them in the order. I'll go in order, okay? And they've all run for president, and only one has been successful. Ralph Nader, Al Gore, and Donald Trump.
You're going to say Ralph Nader.
He's in the book, The Good Fight in Pursuit of Justice. He brings up the differential between labor laws and differential of currency exchange and all that nice stuff, and how corporations always make out in a free trade market constantly, and how workers in America are left to be shut out of competition because our healthcare has been compromised by billionaires that want to keep raising dividends to money that has been tied to retirement and all that nice crap. It's a big business, and at the end of the day, they're willing to exploit out the worker that is willing to die younger, that doesn't know you and you don't know them.
I mean, the only way I think like the free market thing is if everybody was a great, perfect person, you know, and had a bunch of empathy, then yeah, the free market could technically work and be a great thing, but people aren't, and it's not going to. So
correct. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And we've seen it in so many different examples. It's not going to work. And when they're talking about giving money back to the military to like put it back, say, into the economy or to, you know, help it's not going to the soldiers and the sailors. When we first come in, you are below the poverty line. You make enough money that you qualify for food stamps. You qualify for WIC. Like, you are broke. You don't make that much money until you start making rank, and you're in probably about 4 or 5 years. That's when you actually start making not even good money, a relative amount of money. But before that, you're the lowest on a totem pole. They don't care about you. And none of the money that goes into the industrial military complex is going to you. It's not even going to make your life better. I was just reading an article about how they're downgrading like base housing and stuff. And they were talking about the quality of life for military personnel is lower now. And it's like, yeah, because everything is shitty. They cut corners. You know, they spend more money on bombs than they spend on you. And, you know, you're just dying, and now you're disabled. So
in the government's defense, Kevin, that is how we base our currency. Am I correct?
It is how we base our currency off of how big our military actually is. Now, they have cut corners because the more bomb building that goes on, the talk of, and I'm sure you've heard this before, Amber, where, we have to shut down military bases abroad. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
That will never happen. It's a nice thing to say. It really is. It's been, and, you know, so we keep an eye on the world that way by keeping military bases around and literally policing the world. And, you know, I guess.
Bill Clinton, he lowered the military, and I know that he was trying to shut down bases and consolidate a lot of bases and stuff like that, and military people hated him. So
yeah, I mean, it's wherever Clinton, when you squeeze the balloon in a certain way, you know, one base could be shut down, and then another base is kind of expanded.
Exactly.
And you know,
there's 3 places in the world right now that they've actually increased military bases. One of them is Poland. The other one is Japan, and the other one is Israel. Now, with those particular places, I mean, it was super duper huge to invest a lot of money because war is money.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
I mean, I could we've talked about it before where, you know, we try to keep it light. We're more of a comedy podcast, but while we have Amber on, and she does know, you know, she does know her checks and balances and stuff, I would suggest that the Ukraine war was actually done for free, and I could prove it. Okay, so the Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, you name them, right? Their stocks went up double. Raytheon went from 77 to 133, so about a 47% increase.
I did. I have friends that have stock in Raytheon, and when the war started, they were very happy.
Very happy people, right? So if they sold, now you have sell-offs happening in consolidation period when the wind down eventually happens, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to consolidate down to a point. They all do. During this point, whoever bought in at the lowest to the highest or wherever they did buy, including their dividends, are all taxable. One taxable in capital gains, and the one would be taxable as far as a dividend goes, okay? So the gains compared to dividend tax and capital gains tax per military stock, per defense stock out there, taken into account of market cap value of the 248 billion or whatever some odd dollars promissory noted over to Ukraine. I'm not saying that they used all of it up right there. And most of these weapons were, my God, handguns for like $2,500 used. It was kind of a weird, a dollar store ripoff. It was a dollar store that turned into a Macy's overnight. And you're like, wow, this is a terrible Macy's.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, it used to be a dollar store. So by the way, it's your only store to buy weapons and have fun. You're welcome, by the way.
Quality at Macy's.
the JD Vance saying like, hey, I have not heard you say thank you the whole time. It's like, dude, you don't know that he didn't say that in his language. You don't like it could have said that. Like I don't know if that'd be the most dire thing in the room at the time.
Well, he was really mad about his outfit, but I
think the outfit thing. Now, what do you think about his fashion? Because you talk politics and fashion, so
I do like the way he dresses. I think he's kind of like he has this little war style going on. It's black on black, and I definitely like it, and I think it looks very. There was a guy today who was on TV and he looked like Colonel Mustard, with like a green camo, and I was like, see, no, that's too war-y looking.
A little too forward.
Right. Yeah. So I do like the black button up, and he normally wears like a nice black sweater too.
I think that Zelensky and JD Vance share something in common. They both can't grow a beard the right way. If you see somebody with a beard, you cannot, and you're like, wow, I can never imagine you without a beard. And
although he does wear guy liner.
I've seen the little thing going on.
Yeah.
It just,
I don't know, Amber. Is it a thumbs up or thumbs down for guy liner?
So as a scene girl, all right, shout out to Road to Warped Tour. This is coming up next week. I'm super excited about that.
Oh, very excited about that. I'm glad to see they got their authorizations too.
Yes, I do like guy liner, but not his.
Okay.
Not his.
Okay.
You hear that, Zelensky?
It's not being done by a gay man. It's not. It's not good.
It's being done by a closeted gay man.
Whoever does Trump's makeup is doing his. So, whoever's doing Trump's makeup and Trump's weave.
He's got the weave going on.
He does.
It's kind of it's always been a pathetic time in politics whenever Donald Trump looks like the honest guy in the room.
Right.
Or you're just
have you ever seen the newest Croods, the Croods movie?
With the cavemen people?
Yeah, where they meet their long lost or the
family and like the trees.
The family, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the one part where it's a little bit towards the end, the grandma finally says, "Oh, Lady Wigasis, come to life," and like all of a sudden it's like,
yeah, yep.
I could see that happening for DJ T. Just somehow a growing teeth and then being like, getting mad at people that are asking him questions or something.
Yeah. Is that you?
We did get a little off subject there because Elon and Donald Trump have been fighting the it's a broke up.
It's the broke up. It's the bromance up.
The bros have broken up, and all because the one bro says, "Hey, here's all the money I saved," and the other one took it and wood chipper.
Yeah.
You know,
Would you
right
buy?
in there. He's like, hey, that was a lot of money. And he's like, well, at least I still get my electric vehicle subsidies around so people could buy Teslas and not use as much fossil fuel gasoline.
Haha, JK.
Oh, no, that ain't happening either. Elon, I'm going to need you to Elon, I'm going to need you to fuck off on all that. I'm going to need you to just suck a dick and fuck off with all that. Put a carrot in your mouth, have fun, exercise the jaw, you know.
Have another child.
Oh my God.
No more electric vehicle subsidies might affect the Tesla's earnings report. I've driven a Tesla. It's very cool drive. You don't have to worry. I mean, it's just very fast. They're very quick.
It's pretty cool. I've only been inside of one. I actually had like a random date in a Tesla.
Nice.
Wow.
And it was like a little spaceship inside, and all the buttons. I just wanted to like push everything. It was very cool. You know, it's
Wait, was this from Scranton or did you date him from somewhere else?
No, he actually wasn't from here. He was driving through here for work. So like we met up at a charging station and like ate food in the Tesla and just hung out and like stuff like that.
Yeah. That's okay though. It's a good. What color was the car though?
It was white.
All right. The factory white, you know.
And I think the interior was nice though. It was maybe like it had red in it too, and white and black.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, is this custom? Okay.
I don't know, that color scheme has been seen on the Nazi flag before. Oh my God, Amber, you were dating a Nazi.
You dated a Nazi.
Was there a swastika on the side of the Tesla at the time?
Spoiler alert.
No, because people were drawing that. I'm thinking to myself, now there are protests going on right now, and you know the National Guard or Marines have been called in Los Angeles over some violence and protesting, and people have kind of lost their way when it comes to protesting. Okay, there have been peaceful protesting, and there's been peaceful protesting, and then there have been another version where you see where you're like, hey, I wonder who the undercover cop is there. Oh, that's the guy making all the ruckus over, you know, where you can implant a cop in the area and make a peaceful protest look like a non-peaceful protest. You could also just have one jerk or two people just going crazy. They're not undercover cops. And then one undercover cop that's down there in the crowd because they're always there. You would never suspect the ones who are or who are not undercover cops.
And there is agitators, you know, and it sounds, and you almost sound like you need like a tinfoil hat, but I've been to protests and I've seen like there are people who come in like literally to like start shit. And you're like, dude, this is not what we're here for. And especially once the National Guard comes in, I mean, I watched them just shoot this reporter. Like one of the guys just literally pointed his gun and just shot her with a rubber bullet. So they come in and it's going to be chaos.
It was mildly entertaining.
That was the
It was mildly entertaining.
That was the
because not to say that you don't expect it, but like when you're on the scene, right, and you're trying to get the best freaking thing going on, and you're like, no man, go ahead, just shoot me, and this will be great for the camera. And he's like, oh, here on the scene. Oh no. There they are firing rubber. Oh God!
You see, because there's video of it. He just points and shoots, and you're like, "What are you doing?"
Motherfucker's getting a Pulitzer Prize.
Jesus, right?
Do you have more details on what the protest was originally? I just have the one layer. Okay, that the protest was about the immigration policy. That is on hand. Do you know anything more?
It started off as people trying to stop an ICE raid because there were active ICE raids that were happening. So people were gathering to protect people like individually from getting arrested by ICE. And it turned into kind of this whole protest thing. And then more ICE came, and then, you know, more police, and then the National Guard came in and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it started. And I think people don't really know that. That's why there were times it was really chaotic, was because a lot of people in California, when ICE comes, you know, they're making sure they get everybody out there and they're not letting them take people. And that was kind of the beginning of the whole thing.
Now, these ICE raids, they need just like any raid, they would need probable cause to go in and raid an area. They would need knowledge of who they're taking and who is here legally or illegally. My wife is immigrant from the Philippines. We got all of our paperwork, and it's a lot of paperwork. Okay, yeah. There's a good amount. So we go through an agency to help us out with all that paperwork, and there's a lot of money too.
Yeah,
So you got it's between adjustment of status and work papers and all the nice stuff.
The filing fees every time you go to file something, and
yep, the price went up at the country club, so to speak, after 9/11, because George W. Bush, which I think should go down as probably the worst president ever. I mean, intentionally, what
his rebrand has been. W's rebrand, his little cute grandpa.
Oh yeah. What a scumbag. Here he's going around painting people he killed. Like painting people he sent to war. Who does that? Who knocks on somebody's door? Dude, I can't knock on anybody's door and she'll be like, hey guys, remember when you
forgot he paints. I forgot.
You forgot the paint. Oh my God, that sticks out. Who suggested that to him? Did he go up to Dick Cheney one day and say, "Hey Dick, I feel really bad about Iraq. What do you think I should do?" And Dick probably said, "Hey, you should."
Guy Dick Cheney shot.
Dick was probably like, "Oh my God, I thought you were a quail again."
Right.
Like what?
That's a giant quail.
He just walks around like Elmer Fudd all day, just fucking shooting his friends.
I was looking for Wascoey Wabbit.
I didn't know what to. Yeah. And by the way, the two Johns couldn't beat Bush and Cheney because John Kerry didn't want to attempt to flip Florida. Okay, there was no attempt to. I think,
who did the scream that lost them the election?
Oh, Howard Dean. Yeah, that was a Howard Dean time, and then Joe Lieberman. Put his hat in the race a couple times. Now, people like to bring up January 6th as the insurrection, and I don't buy into that at all. You got if you felt like your democracy was at threat with a grandma walking up the stairs forgetting where the fuck she was, rather than the Supreme Court telling corporations that they are people. If you felt like this January 6th was more of a threat to your democracy rather than allowing billionaires to buy candidates and sell candidates legally now, then it's working. What they're doing is working, sort of thing.
Because for me, especially as somebody who's protested, man, come on. Like, they just let them white people do whatever they wanted. Like, if there was a bunch of us in there, man, we would have all been killed in jail for the rest of our lives. There would be no pardons. We would be there's still Black protesters in jail from Ferguson.
Well, that actually, Amber, if your memory serves correct, it actually there actually was Black protesters during the year 2000, and they were put in jail. But this was at the time at a different climate too, where police didn't know if they could actually use their job for force.
Right.
They had to get special permission where they're like, do we shoot them on camera now or later? Or what do we do? I mean,
now they shoot them on camera.
There's
what I find really funny and more relevant to the ICE raids, the fact that senators they were from the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives went to the ICE encampment, I guess, like yesterday or the day before. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that.
So, Representatives Robert Mendez Jr. and Bonnie Watson Coleman and several other protesters actually holed up in a guard shack, the first security checkpoint, I guess, for this ICE, warehouse or whatever, like detention center. Right. And they tried getting in, and they got their shit stomped in, and got the door slammed in their face.
Oh no, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it was really, really hilarious. There's some great videos of it, and they're like, "Do you know who we are?" And they're like, "I don't care. Bye." As they were trying to enter into like the
really
back
hard.
end of a freaking like an Applebee's trying to save the
Oh,
dishwashers.
Some of this shit is so ridiculous and like it's not supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely hilarious. And
yeah, they're coming in there. I mean, there are certain times that, you know, ICE will get it right and no one says a word, you know, where they, you know, like, oh, by the way, they arrested a bunch of crazy gang members that traffic children all day. And that's said in silence, you know,
right? Yeah.
They're like, hey guys, you know, say that part a little louder, because I think the next thought that if ICE is being praised too loud in one area, then that gives them more leeway to be wrong as well. And it's just
I did hear this. I heard the same sentiment from somebody else who was saying, like, you know, people aren't complaining if you are detaining and arresting people who are doing shit. Like, yeah, but you're not, you know, like they just had people at work up in somewhere around here. They went to people's jobs and are like, why are you arresting people at work? What are they doing? They're working.
Amber, do you find it more relevant, right? And no, this is just not necessarily a Democratic or Republican thing.
Yeah.
But have you noticed that more Democrats are trying to remain more relevant across social media, the news, more now than ever because of their steep decline in personal favor across the country?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that as a Democrat, we've wanted them to be stronger. You know, we've wanted them to actually, like Kevin said about ICE, you know, get out there and say what you're doing. What are you doing that's good? You know, what are you actually fighting for? Because, like, for instance, Joe Biden did do a lot of stuff, but their messaging is terrible. You wouldn't know about it at all. You wouldn't know about a lot of the stuff that he did. And that's the problem. So, but I think that Trump really showed how to get in touch with the people. And even by just going on the podcast, you know, Rogan and different stuff, it made a difference. And there was a lot of Democrats who thought that was stupid.
I think it was easier for Donald Trump to act like a regular person rather than Kamala Harris. I'll give you an example. Donald Trump working at a McDonald's and then saying something so ridiculous, like, look at how they scoop the fries. I thought they grabbed the fries with their hands. They don't do that. They don't do it. They scoop it. I wouldn't mind working here. And you're just like, man, this guy, what is he doing? Right. So Kamala Harris talked in circles about getting fucking Doritos door dashed. And it's a quick story. You know, where you could say something like, if you like Doritos, you could be like, you know, my guilty pleasure is Doritos. I know it's weird, but I don't look like I eat Doritos.
People don't connect. I really think it's, and I hate to make it, I'm not trying to make it about race at all, but I really think there's just a disconnect because we loved her. I loved her. I will DoorDash Doritos. I will DoorDash one milkshake, okay? Like, I love that she wore Chucks. I love that she laughed and giggled. You see me, I'm smiling. I've been told I laugh too much. I'm stupid. I'm not qualified. I worked at the city of Scranton. I had a college degree and most people had a high school diploma. You know, every day I got called unqualified. I couldn't do the job. And so it's just like, I don't know. Because when you talk about Donald Trump, I don't think that's cute. I think he's a fucking idiot. Why the fuck would you put your hand in a French fries? You know what I mean? And so like, for me, there's nothing there. But like for for like my friends and my family, like my mom's a veteran and stuff too. Like we loved her and identified with her and everything. So like I genuinely, like from the bottom of my heart, do not understand the hate that she got. Like I really don't get it. Like,
I think it was definitely having to do with the mother of a daughter that had cerebral palsy having a perp walk in California over the truancy law, where, you know, Kamala Harris was doing the pros and cons and found out that kids that stay in school and graduate high school
like Greta Thunberg
were more likely to be successful and less likely to join a gang and have a bad life. And seeing things in such black and white area is kind of the same way the Jets have been a failure of an organization. Zach Wilson had a better year the year after his freshman year, so he must be getting better, when in reality, the BYU team that he played for didn't have to play any ranked teams his sophomore season, so it looked better. The reason, sorry, Tony, are you shooting me or something? I see that.
No, I was gonna say shoot over to Sparky for a second, but
yeah, you didn't get to the story yet.
Okay.
All right, damn it.
The reasoning that most kids that are graduating high school have better lives is because the cost of living is so high in California that if they are going to school every day and the gangs haven't already infiltrated their schools in certain low-class areas, then they've survived high school to the point where they can either exit California and get to a more stable and reasonably priced place, or go to the next area of safe haven, higher education, whether it be through athletic scholarship or academic scholarship, because affording college, and the one thing I can give Joe Biden as a symbolic idea, as a testing the waters, was to forgive the Pell Grants out there, the college loan program. That's a good idea. $22 trillion since 97 to 2000 to 2024 in interest alone off of profits the federal government has made off of the backs monopolizing the middle class that way. Okay. And every party all around has been, ready to do that. It's affected the housing industry, the car industry as well, because what you would do is go to affordable college after a 4-year degree. You'd either go one or two directions. You'd say, I'll try to get my credit good enough to put a down payment on for a house or a car.
Man, or none of us are buying a house, dude. Like there was just a statistic that said, like, for us millennials right now, the average age for us to be able to afford a house is like 58. I fucking cried when I read that.
I mean, that's if you're that's if you're not being creative with the idea. You could take some repository properties and use on RPO to appraise that and the areas around it, and use that as a collateralized down payment and a land equity loan to get a house that way. But and most mortgage groups will do that because the worst case scenario, now they got your land too, and they could just throw that into their pile regardless. But the idea was you graduate with a 4-year degree, you either go for house or car. Now you graduate 4-year degree, you better get a second job because your first job has already been what'll happen is corporations got really, really smart about underpaying people. They started interviewing the bottom of the class because they figured they can get the same result. Technology has
even the playing field on a lot of different things.
Exactly. So they could just interview the bottom of the class, set that price, and if the top of the class doesn't like it, who cares? We have so many more people to interview besides just themselves. So they have also overseas. They have European people they can just go ahead and interview. And these people from Europe, they don't have any college bill to worry about, very little stress. So to say for to forgive $15,000 in student loans was more symbolic than everything, just as an emotional, just to see how people react.
I mean, do you guys still have people who are paying their student loans that you guys know in your lives?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I have friends that are paying $700 a month, and that's just their loan. So that's not including their car. That's not including their rent, because they're not buying a house with that. That's not including their phone bill, their car insurance, the monopoly of American Water and UGI here in Scranton, and the monopoly of Xfinity. I hate you, Xfinity.
Yeah.
So it's just like my loans got paid off. So
good. And
I owe $2,000 left to one loan I had, but otherwise, thank you, Joe Biden. My loans got paid off because I became
if we could hit the real, right? If you think about it, and especially today's economy, there is no significant plus side to having a college education anymore. And I think that's been really, really delegated lowly to not necessarily more of the low poverty situation, but the fact that people don't go to trade schools anymore.
Well, I mean, they're cutting Job Corps, so I mean, you know,
they're cutting Job Corps.
That's kind of crazy when we want people to go to trade school.
Crazy because Job Corps was more than just a program to help people gain a skill. Job Corps was a program to help people get out of these neighborhoods and get out, and I hate to say it, but get away from their families. You know, because you would have some families writing letters to their kids in Job Corps, calling them idiots for trying to get a job and stuff. And because welfare has become a business, and there are some big businesses that love turning themselves into welfare too. So welfare has become almost like an inherent business where families will take their kids around to psychiatrists just so that way they can get a check, so that way they can continue this indoor living, sit down and try whatever experimental medications possible. Job Corps, though, allowed the kid to believe in themselves and get away and stay there for X amount of time and just really, you know, gain something that is priceless. A belief in themselves.
Especially for the kids, too, that didn't have any support. You know, you had the bad family support and then the people that just didn't have anybody. I don't know if you guys know Glennis John. She's a CEO and founder of Black Scranton Project, but the local Job Corps, they had called her because they've been calling around asking people for help, you know, and especially in places to try to like house the kids and everything. And, you know, she's listening to people that we've worked with and, you know, that she knows and stuff. And it's just sad and heartbreaking. And these kids don't have anywhere to go. And I remember, I think I was hiring somebody from Job Corps when I worked at the city. It was an amazing program. They were even paying for their like transportation to get back and forth to be able to come work and stuff.
Yeah.
And
well, the thing is that Job Corps started off as the plain old idea of teaching a skill to people who wanted to learn it, right? And then once they realized, they were like, "Whoa, we have other work to do here."
Yeah,
you know, besides what we thought was already, they thought they were starting off on second base.
No,
they're starting off with people that don't even know how to play baseball,
right?
Let alone know how to put on a baseball cap or even own a pair of fucking shoes. You know, like that's where, you know, the disconnect has been between.
And I love the way you said that, because I think there's so many people I talk to who think that the playing field has been even since 1950. Like they are convinced that the playing field is even. And I'm like, there are schools that don't have heat, that don't have textbooks. There's not enough desks for the kids, that have mold in their classrooms, that there's students standing, you know, where there's no math teacher. So there's just no math class. There are schools that lost their accreditation.
I think that comes from, I just think that comes from the sentiment, the mindset of people that have, you know, followed the law, paid their taxes on time, voted a certain way, and they expect a certain result. Generation after generation, and the longer that they do this, the longer that they say to themselves, well, there shouldn't be an excuse. There shouldn't be an excuse of why one thing couldn't happen and one thing other. But there have been, I'm sorry, Tony, there have been communities that have just been ignored because it's turned into gangland. You know, that's I'm sorry,
Amber. Scranton High School has been listed in the top 5 worst schools in Pennsylvania. Hands down.
I heard that. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't really look forward to sending my kid to Scranton. I graduated from North Pocono, so
yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
So, question for you: the NAACP of Lackawanna.
Yes.
What have you been doing with the NAACP?
So, actually, I started off as helping them actually form the NAACP. The original president was Ty Holmes. And so I was just kind of a part of that group that helped kind of be in there talking over ideas and getting it started. Then about like last year, I started running their social media. And they kind of like hired me on to kind of do like a contracting for different events and stuff for them. And so now I'm their like press media coordinator for the Lackawanna NAACP locally here. And we have some events and fundraisers coming up. and stuff that we're really looking forward to. But yeah, we're a group of people who are just trying to help out the community, honestly, in any way that we can. We don't discriminate. We don't care who you are. If you're white, you can join.
Why aren't you discriminating? Wait a second. You should have
all the time. And I'm like, yes, come, like, be a part of the community and come help us. So a lot of times individual people would call us up or email, or I get a lot of phone calls for different things and just trying to help people out on an individual basis. And then with the name NAACP, you're kind of able to put weight behind some things. And I mean, in this area, there's a lot of housing discrimination and
there is.
I got told somebody didn't want to rent to me because they said that I was disabled and didn't have a real job. And I was like, I don't think you can say that to somebody.
I mean, Amber, come on now. Hold on now. I could see the glasses on your face. You can't see. You know,
no, I can't.
That is a disability if I've ever seen one. Am I right, Tony, who also wears glasses?
This is
true. Why I don't wear my glasses.
In the corner and one of my leashed cats, of course, to
leashed cat. Tony's got 8 cats to pull them in all different directions.
They're on the rope in the backyard.
That's true.
No, I've been asked before in Old Forge when I was I'm not gonna bring up the lady's name or whatever, but I was looking about 10-15 years ago, looking to rent a place. She says, "Do you and your wife have kids?" I said, "Well, I don't have a wife." And she's like, "Oh. Then is there a man in your life then?" I don't like any, older Italian woman.
I like how she went from married to children.
Married with children. You're either married with children or
completely
you're gay.
According
to older Italian ladies in
it's
Old
the juiced
Forge.
Up hair, Kevin. That's what it is.
I was on the phone, Tony. There was no recollection.
She could smell it over the phone.
She could smell.
She knew.
She's like, She's like,
He's like gay.
He's like, how do you
just
feel
by
about
the sound of his voice? I can tell.
She's like, how do you feel about that month of June? I'm like, I think it's okay. Oh,
that's because you asked to move in by Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Juneteenth is coming up. That should have been a federal holiday for the longest time. I think it's something to celebrate.
People mad.
I don't like how a whole month is dedicated. We're gonna run out of months. Okay, we're gonna run out of months.
All the months already have stuff.
Well, everybody. Okay,
that's true.
What is December? December has got Christmas and Hanukkah.
I don't know. We used to do them. Actually, the reason I learned, we just got done with Military Appreciation Month. And military families is in May. And you have Armed Forces Day. You have the month of the military child. You have Veterans Appreciation
Memorial
Month.
Day and
right, and different things. But like AAP Pacific Islander Month was last month. Women's History
I missed out on that one. Son of a bitch.
But the Navy, we used to celebrate all of them, and they would always cook and have whatever food. I was in there for the food. Whatever food was represented in it, and you kind of had sailors who were from that group, I guess, and would come and talk. It was really cool, and I learned a lot. And I really appreciated it. Yeah, because people would get very angry. Black History Month in the Navy was the worst month to be Black ever. And I'm sure that June was probably the worst month for gay people.
Are you just saying, hold on, are you just saying that Black History Month was the worst month ever because Diddy got arrested that month?
He needs to burn and be under the jail.
They waited until February 1st. They were like, all right, Diddy.
Damn you, man.
How we doing?
Damn you.
The night before, okay?
Like, it's almost like they were doing a book report, and they were like, so we're going to celebrate the life of Sean Diddy Holmes. And then they did some research. They're like, holy shit, turns out this man's a criminal. To R. Kelly levels. So
have you guys been watching listening to the trial or watching anything about it?
Oh, that's what we do every day. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm like glued into it. Also, I might need therapy because
I'm trying to figure out where call me a little
for real.
I get really, was it a crime or was it not a crime? Was it a fetish? Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm hearing all this deposition. And I'm like, where's the crime though? By the way,
I think once you get to the point where when you want to leave and he's telling you can't, or he's beating your ass when you try to leave, that's when. And he was like kidnapping. He blew up Kid Cudi's car. do you blow up somebody's car?
Look, he's blowing dudes' backs out.
Like what, dude?
But Kid Cudi, that wasn't his. That was in Diddy's name, though. He said that it was in his name, so he technically blew up his own car that Kid Cudi was using.
True.
I'm just saying, like, so I'm trying to like figure out, like, you know, like when you tell somebody that they can't leave, but the initial kink was like a rapey kind of thing. That was the role play going in.
I don't think it was going into it. It seemed like a lot of it was like, you know how they say like pimp, there's different types of pimps, and you have the boyfriend pimp and stuff. So you start off, and I don't know if this sounds crazy, but like as a woman, and I was in an abusive marriage, I can see how you get into it. It doesn't start off crazy. It starts off great. And then
starts off with a gold album, then a platinum, then a double platinum.
And then next thing you know, they're telling you to rub some other dude's cum on their nipples. And you're like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? It's like,
there it is. That's when you know it's a party.
I mean, who knows where the creative process comes from, right? You're dressing up
like it was just dudes. I didn't realize it was just back to back. So like one dude would come in, they'd bang, 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 be done. Then her and Sean would go in the room, rubbing the nipples, come back out, call another dude, bang, 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 go in the room, rub the nipples, come back out, call another dude for like 18 hours straight. I can't imagine.
Amber, it sounds to me like you're kink shaming.
Yeah, how dare you? How dare you kink shame? What is
Don't
this?
Don't be kink shaming, P. Diddy.
That's literally the worst thing you could. Kink shame is up there. You know.
Poor dude's living his best life.
I mean, Diddy was living his best life. That is fact. He was living his best life, okay?
He's got double coatings of joyful jizz all over his nipples.
The conspiracy theory now is that a female Eminem impersonator, Ellen DeGeneres, is now moved over to, that's pretty funny, right? Is now moved over to England over the Diddy accusations, because if there's one thing I think about when I think of Diddy orgies is Ellen DeGeneres dancing on top of a table in her go-go pants and shit, doing her thing, because I guess they were I think
they were friends though, weren't they?
They were good friends.
Yeah, they were like really good friends. And you know, she was crazy on her show, so I don't know what was going on with her.
Here's a fun game I like to play with people. Name one song that Puff Daddy wrote and sang. And we got dead air. You see what I mean? I can't name one either.
Any of his songs?
No, he did not. None of them. He went to
he produced, but he never wrote.
Yeah, he was a producer. Yeah.
He went to Howard University. It's an Ivy League college. It is the third gayest college out there. Okay. The first being Princeton, second being Brown, then Howard is right there in the third cusp.
Who made this list?
I made the list. I'll let you know. And I went up to everybody at Princeton and I said, hey, what do you think about me? They'd be like, you know what? I would kidnap you. And I'm like, holy shit. That's everybody at Princeton right now. Holy crap. And then Brown
always wanted to go to a Diddy white party. Like that actually was on my bucket list. Like from when I was a teenager, like from when I was going to see Carson Daly at TRL. I wanted to be in the Hamptons at a Diddy white party. And even when all this went down, my mom was like, I'm so glad you never got to go to one of those parties. I was like, yeah, I know.
It was a cool look. It was a workable theme.
Turns out your mom was right, by the way.
Sometimes mom's right. Sometimes
most moms are right.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, sometimes moms are wrong, like with the bad baby or whatever, Danielle, whatever the hell her name is from the Catch Me Outside girl.
God.
This is the whole thing. Remember when she was on, her mom was on, now everybody remembers her calling the audience hoes and stuff like that, right? But her mom's interview is just the epitome of scumbag right there.
Oh,
where
her mom let her she was getting abused by like her mom's boyfriend.
Dr. Phil was going, he's like, and what do you do when she's not listening to you? She's like, I'll beat her ass. I'll punch her in the face.
Pass me outside. How about that?
And then, he's like, all right, let's bring her out. This is my career now. Oh my God. And then she comes out. She's obviously acting like a person that is embarrassed about her abuse to the point where she has to mask her feelings by yelling at an audience. And the only thing that people could say is, that's a fucking idiot right there. And I'm obviously better than her. And, you know, she's made millions of dollars now off of her rap career and OnlyFans, of course, over $50 million. And
on OnlyFans, Jesus, we're doing the wrong. We're in the wrong thing, guys.
$55 million.
We're not.
You
know what we're getting? We're getting a $1.50 coupon with a $2 rebate.
We got
Meta for like 32 cents the other day, and I was like, can y'all just hold this all together? Because like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, it really brings the ego down to another level where, you know, Facebook's like, hey, you've been recognized by us of how famous you actually are. Here's 2 quarters and 2 pennies. Don't go fucking spending that everywhere.
They used to pay so much better. They did.
They did until
I miss those days.
I know.
Yeah, until the exactly.
Hey, you know who's gonna have a coronary, money. Kevin?
Who is that?
Sparky.
Sparky's gonna have a coronary because he's got something on the big board. And
he does have something on the big board, but we need to get into it before he snaps his own neck.
He's going to.
We have to talk about Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
And did you draw the flotilla?
Now, officially, Greta Thunberg has made herself board this particular dinghy of a boat, which includes one particular electric motor, one rudder, and 2 ergonomic paddles. Ergonomic paddles.
Ergonomic, yeah.
With a make-it-yourself sheet.
And a partridge and a pear tree.
Cover people.
Yeah, flip that board around there, Sparky. He was on the boat. Sparky was on the boat, and he drew what he saw from the boat right there. Sparky, flip that big board around. He says, meanwhile, in the Mediterranean, where is my footlong? How dare you? And you can't be Blackbeard. You are blonde. You know, all the good stuff right there. Now that is specifically depicted right there of what actually happened. Amber, am I right or no?
Yes. Yeah. This is when and I think you could even see maybe their phone getting thrown. They threw their phones in the water.
They got their phones there in the water.
It's not funny, but I've been dying about it. Like. Yeah. It's okay. So I have a question for you guys. So I know how like everything is performative, right? But isn't everything performative? You know what I mean? Like when we look back to, you know, Gorbachev, tear down that wall. You're like, you know what I mean? Like when you look back at like Selma, they're walking on what was that really doing? They're walking on a bridge or like sitting on a counter. You're not ordering food. You're just waiting to get beat up and arrested. So like, isn't it all kind of performative? So like 100%. I know this is performative, right? Yeah. But isn't it, do you guys think everything kind of is, or is there like a line, or you know, there might not be an answer? So
there no, I get where you're coming from. I honestly I hope not, but it's really tough not to expect it by now, especially with a cell phone camera at helm. Remember back in 2005, you had to own a camera.
Yeah.
You couldn't go live with that. You know, there wasn't that the technology just wasn't available. The tear down the wall thing. Yeah, obviously, you know, no one cares. That wall could have been torn down already, and he could have just already said it, and it makes it sound and look good. It could have been produced. Yeah. One small step for man. You know, who fucking filmed that moon landing? Right.
Why is the flag waving in the background?
I
have questions.
Total good question. Right now, I think I've gone too far down, and now tell me if you've been down this road too. You go so far on TikTok where now you're stuck on Antarctica ice wall videos, you know, and I'm like, I'm fucking stuck. I've gone too far.
In the firmament TikTok, which was, I was like, I gotta get out of this. The flat earth, and then I ended up on the wall thing.
The wall thing, right?
How did I get here.
Well, those videos
isn't easy.
Those videos not only symbolize, those videos are very symbolic of the ice wall of the internet. You've hit the wall.
Oh,
you do not go any further than this. And if you do, I mean, it's it's listen, when it comes to Greta, she's grown up in this world. Since a young age, she was put up there from to stardom, so that way an agenda could be pushed. Now, if you're really trying to save the earth, buy a used car. I have a used Honda out there, okay? Buy a used car. Car companies have to stop producing cars. If you really want to lower emission standards, you have to really stop building buildings. You have to start improving the buildings around you.
Yeah.
Recycling doesn't work because all you're doing is helping corporations make a cheaper product because they're still creating something.
Right. And their corporations are putting all the onus on us to save the planet when like whatever you're doing and I'm doing is not going to ever compare to ExxonMobil. You know, it's just, or Elon Musk and his big fans that he has in like Minnesota ruining a whole neighborhood. You know, whatever we're doing isn't going to be on that level. So it's like crazy that it's on us to even do stuff like that, you know, because if they stopped making it, we wouldn't be able to buy it. And you know,
it's kind of weird. The carbon tax bothers me because I can't go up to a tree and throw money at it and say, see, that's helpful, right? The world doesn't know what the fuck a dollar bill is. You know, the earth in its own living being does not know what a $20 bill is because we made it up one day. We literally made it up one day. Now, Sparky's got something there in the big board, and we got to head over to him on that real quick. Sparky, what's going on there, buddy? We got the, if you arrest me, I will say it is kidnapping of a child because I have been 14 years old for the last 5 years, according to Tony. I told Tony before the show, before he came on, I said, Tony, you've had Greta Thunberg at 14 years old for 5 years now.
How old is she?
She's 22.
I always see her as a child. She's 22.
She's 22 years old. Every year, whenever she pops in the news, because it's once a year, Tony has this, and I've been looking through all their episodes, Tony, right? Yeah, every year, Tony has a little bit of a spiel where he says, like, this 14-year-old girl, and like the next year, he's like, she's like 14 years old. I think he corrected himself one time. He's like, what is she, like 16 or 14 years? I'm like, oh man, so close on the one.
You're killing us.
How dare you?
You know what? I hope they're okay. I really do. I want to be able to continue to laugh about this. I honestly hope maybe some people will get some food. But I don't want them to die either. Like, I don't want, you know what I mean? Because I've seen people also be like, say stuff, and I'm like, we can laugh, but here's another algorithm that comes up, Amber. Here's another algorithm that comes up. Whenever you're liking videos on TikTok telling Israelis to stop the genocide of Palestinian people, whenever you're liking those videos or loving those videos of that kind of stuff, what sneaks into your algorithm is a whole other type of group where they're just saying, hey, by the way, you ever wonder why all the Jews were kind of kicked out of places? And you're like, what the fuck? What happened, TikTok? No, I was supporting Palestine. They're like, oh no, you're supporting Palestine. Guess who else?
Rabbit hole.
It did, but that's the next video up because they're like, hey, they really don't like what the Jewish people are doing or what, you know, and to the Palestinian people over there, which tells us, the robots from TikTok, they don't like Jewish people. So you know who else doesn't like them? This group over here, the Nazis. Show them some of those videos. And I'm like,
it definitely gives you a loop, and the hate comments, and you get the bots on there, and then you get, I was posting a lot about Gaza and Palestine and stuff, but then I got like blacklisted.
Yeah, but Amber, you were missing the boat that you should have been on with Greta, you know, to go down there. You could have been eating a sandwich on the flotilla, you know.
I could have been on a flotilla.
Doing some flotilla, get some speakers back there. You know, it's like a party boat, you know?
We would have needed more than one rudder if I was going to be on this boat.
Yeah, have like the Arrested Development yacht, you know, rolling in there.
I drove an aircraft carrier. I'm going to need a bigger boat for me to feel comfortable out there.
You're going into a war zone. You can't just like...
And you know those people are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
We know this.
If the Bloods and Crips are killing each other, I'm not handing out fucking sandwiches to both sides. You know, that doesn't make any sense. Like, here you go, buddy. Here's a sandwich for you. Bang. Okay, you didn't mean to do that. Anyways, here's a sandwich for you. Oh my God, that was probably a cop, right? Oh God. You know, okay, Greta, keep the sandwich in your mouth for the commercial. Okay, you know, I'm wondering why this is Quiznos comeback right now for them to give Greta some sandwiches.
Have they been sending? Have you guys been following that other guy who was sailing from like California to like Hawaii?
No, what's he doing?
He's just I think his key is with his cat.
He's with his cat. Yes.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah. And he's also in a tiny boat, but he sold all his stuff. He like cashed in his 401k.
Now the dude has he has a life-threatening disease.
Yeah.
And he you know, not to say he took a lot of money from social media.
He did, and they've been dropping food and dropping stuff to him out in the ocean, which I didn't even know was a thing. He's getting like packages flown to him, and they're dropping them in the ocean. And he got he didn't get Quiznos, but he got a bunch of different stuff from other people. I think he might have got like either Jersey Mike's subs out there.
I mean, it's a smart advertisement right there.
Yeah.
But you know, even with a cool story like that, watch him pop up on like the Epstein list, like where you're like, holy shit, this guy. How did this happen? You know,
the unmentionable things that Peter are gonna say against him when he's alone with his cat.
Oh yeah, that was cat abuse or something. You know, something weird. It's a lot of fun overreach from PETA, which you know, before
PETA is not good.
They did have they have some very strange advertisements out there. Still to today, but I think what originally starts as a good idea, you never know where it's gonna go, what it's eventually going to get into. It turns into just, you know, its own walking, breathing, living thing where you're just like, you're not really PETA anymore. You've kind of changed there, dude. You know,
and it's just because when you want to start making all these synthetic things, you're just making your carbon footprint way bigger, and, you know, creating like faux leather and faux fur and all this, you know, almond milk, all this stuff, you know, you're like using a lot of water. So you're just, you know, taking all these other resources, and maybe you're not like killing cows or, you know, skinning like a mink or something, but now you're using all of these other resources to create something fake.
I was talking last week about if they're so worried about the rising sea levels, you could just take the whales out of the water and lower the sea levels that way. You know,
have you seen the Family Guy where he tries to move the whale with the forklift?
Yeah. That was that reminiscent of Reno 911 movie where they blow up the whale with dynamite. You ever see that? Or that movie was one of the best Rock cameos of all time, where he has the grenade, and then, you know, he's got a 15-second cameo where his character blows up while trying to train the Reno 911 police.
I love him, and my daughter now loves him, which is hilarious.
Who's that? The Rock?
Yes.
Yeah, he's had a tough road. You know, the WWE they're just chiseled circus workers to a degree. You know,
I saw him at WrestleMania last year. Man, that was on my bucket list. That was such a good time, and it was at the Link. Whew.
Yeah, now
that was a great day.
You have the old school wrestling, and now, you know, I guess there's no chair shots to the head anymore. You know, it's been tamed down a little bit.
Do you guys ever do the local wrestling stuff around here? Go watch it.
My one buddy is one of the commentators, Thurman Wilson, over he does commentary for the one wrestling faction around here. But we've had such wrestlers on here like Corey Castle, right, Tony?
Yep.
And Gerard Durling does. I went to school with him years. I've known him for over 30 years. And,
George Polomitis.
Yeah, I love George. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about, I have a shirt with George's face on it, and I was thinking about cutting it and wearing it for one of the days of Warped, and I was like, oh, I want to wear George's face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I take my daughter. We've gone to a couple of the Smash Master wrestling things, and
nice.
Yeah, there was one that was like crazy I wanted to go to, but it was only 18 and over, so I couldn't take her. But I was watching the videos live, and they were definitely there was like a guy with nails on his head. There was just blood everywhere.
Yeah,
I was like, yes!
The one is have you ever seen the David Arquette death match or no?
No.
Oh my God. So David Arquette, actor turned wrestler.
Yeah.
And so
Johnny Gage is who he wrestled. When he got stabbed in the throat with the fluorescent light bulb.
Yeah. And so there was this to the death match sort of thing. Now, very rare and for a reason, because you're supposed to fight until you are pretty sure the other person's not breathing for a certain amount of time. And, Arquette is now in this new he's taking it like, oh yeah, sure, it's really rare. Okay, I want to do it. Of course, I want to do it. I'm badass and going on like that. So the one dude was like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna fucking kill him. Like he was really, ready to do it.
Yeah, Johnny Gage.
Johnny Gage, yeah. So he ends up like cutting his throat. This dude still has like a scar.
No. He stabbed him in the throat with the fluorescent light bulb.
With the fluorescent light bulb, yeah. So he almost kills him. Like, they got 911. He's got blood spitting out of arteries and all sorts of crap. And Arquette interviewed.
Almost. He was about a couple millimeters away from the artery.
Very close. Almost dead.
Oh.
Almost dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Arquette did not win the death match, but he almost died.
He almost died. So,
there are people.
Same, but different.
Yeah. I mean, there is that clique and faction of wrestling where they take it to a different extreme.
My God, guys, when I was in New Jersey, so I was in high school. And I was with one of my friends, and she lived in a trailer park, and it was as what you can imagine in South Jersey. So she takes me to this party, and it's a backyard wrestling match. And it's like down this dirt road. It's this house-ish. And there's like a whole wrestling ring in the back. There's like,
as they do in South Jersey.
There's like kegs in like what looks like an outhouse. There's like kegs in there, so you got to go in the outhouses to get your beer. And I mean, it is so crazy. It was so many rednecks. I was like a little bit scared. Mm-hmm. Next thing I know, I go in the house and they're like drop kicking each other through a closet, like running down the hallway and like jumping and drop kicking. I was like, we have to get out of here. Like it was just wild. I was like, you guys are taking this too seriously.
It's an experience though. There are certain.
It was an experience.
There are certain small towns in Jersey that are like a whole different state.
Oh, I felt like I was in Alabama. Okay, 100%. Like I was like, where are we? It was cool to watch though, but I mean, it was like a lot happening.
Yeah, I saw that you had on your podcast, not to change things up a little bit. I saw that you had Johnny Ochapinti on there.
Yes, I did.
What is Johnny doing writing a book?
I know. It was really cool. We're actually, I was getting with them about we want to do like a Green Ridge, like book event or something with me and him somewhere around here. So that'd be really cool. Yeah, he wrote a book. I've been reading it on Amazon Kindle. I can't wait until the paperback comes out. But yeah, he's out there doing his thing. I think he's such an inspiration. I told him I've been following him like from afar, when he started going back to school and everything, because I went back to school.
Yeah, not creeper like at all.
And
no.
I've been following you.
I've been following you online. I've been watching you.
Yeah. Lurching
you
in the
hear
background.
That, Johnny?
Lurching in the background. Yeah.
Listen, Johnny. We see you out there, Johnny, making your moves, doing your thing there, man. Yeah. I tag him and he tags me every now and then when it comes to
I hung out with him
sports related talk. Oh, at a wedding. Yeah.
How was it?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was really awesome. Yeah.
He seems like he'd be fun at a wedding.
Oh yeah, we're like,
yeah.
Oh, he was trashed.
I love weddings. I don't know why. Like when people say I hate weddings, I will go to anybody's wedding, anytime, any place, and have a ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna wrap up this show. We're kind of at the end of our time. Kevin, do you want to hit Amber with our final?
Oh yeah. No, Amber, we know that you've really done a lot in this life so far.
You've crossed the world's oceans.
Would you
have
consider
scaled the mountains of podcasting?
Yeah, but would you consider this right now the peak of your career?
Yes.
Oh my God, we knew it.
We knew it.
Yes.
Remember, people that say no, we hate you. We hate you for saying that. What is wrong with you? We've only had a couple people say no because they don't realize it's a joke. Where they're like, "No, I'm still doing things." Like, "Oh, really? You're still doing things?" I get it.
What are you doing? It's 11 o'clock at night. What are you doing?
You motherfucker.
No, Amber, you have aspirations. You have aspirations, of course. Tell people how to get in touch with you if they wanted to donate stuff for the NAACP.
Yes.
They wanted to get in touch with you for your podcast, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We have a bingo night coming up for the NAACP on June 28th. We are
the
collecting.
Podguyz might be there.
Yes, you guys should come out. It's going to be really fun. I'm going to be there. And it's going to be at the ANZ Hotel. We are going to have some food trucks and stuff. But we're looking for donations for basket raffles. So if you guys have anything, just send me a DM. You can find me on Facebook at Amber Viola. Also on Instagram at Amber__Viola. If you want to check out my podcast, it's Politics But Make It Fashion on Facebook, Politics But Make It Fashion 1 on Instagram, and Politics But Make It Fashion on TikTok.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Love it. Seamless.
You guys can buy my book on Amazon. It's available on Amazon and Amazon Kindle. It's called 72 Hours of Hell, My Time in a VA.
Ooh.
Nice. We'll put that
I've
down.
heard some great, amazing stories about the VA.
Oh, it's just a wonderful time.
We'll put that down on the.
Maybe for another
comments,
podcast. Maybe for another podcast, of course. We'll touch.
Yes.
We'll touch that one.
We'll touch, yeah.
Yeah, we'll grab that for another hour and a half of entertainment. Sparky, where can you find us if you were looking for us, sir?
You can find us on every single major streaming platform, including Google, YouTube, iHeart, Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, CastBox, Pocket Cast, GeoRio, Facebook Live video. You could also find us on YouTube and Google Video.
Yeah.
And then
just type us up. Type us up. The Podguyz Podcast.
It's on our Facebook homepage.
Yeah, there it is.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's been a lot of fun. It's been fun. Yeah.
This has been one of the fastest hour and a halves as
for real. Yeah. It went by so fast. There's sometimes I'm on stuff and I'm like.
We are seamless.
Listen, I can't agree with you more. I told Tony, I said, this is going to be easy. She knows how to talk. We know how to talk. But the worst part is when you got somebody on and they want to have as much dead air as possible, or they're like waiting and have zero to contribute to the conversation. You have been everything I knew you would be on the show.
Amber was boring. Stop it.
Boring as hell. God damn you, Tony. You and your words. Always saying them.
The words of letters.
Hashtag free Greta. Free Greta.
Greta.
Look at Greta. It just popped up. She's got a GoFundMe right now because apparently they're asking for $50,000 to give.
Are they still in custody? Are they like on the boat still?
Yeah, she is in Israeli custody right now.
Yeah, she's they got her. They're feeding her stale bagels right now.
At least it's not like the first flotilla where they bombed it out of the water.
Oh my god!
Flotilla, Coachella,
that boat dock.
Damn.
Mission accomplished.
Amber, thank you very much for joining the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neri here.
Of course, the ever-loving Picasso.
Late Sparky.
All right. Guys, tune in every Monday. We have great guests. Countless amount of hours of fun. We'll catch you next week, Monday, 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. Bye, everyone.